Hi everyone, welcome back to 3D Speedy Designs. Today we wanted to take some time, make this video, and go over two main topics relative to our silicone filling trays specific to the paper tube market. So one of the questions that we almost always get, and is one of the hardest things with the paper tubes, just given that the fact that there is no industry standard size, is what size tray do I need to fit your specific tubes? So really, you have to measure the tube to be able to correctly identify that. And even within paper tubes, we do see that dimensions can vary a little bit more. It's just part of how they make these, and it's not, injection molded plastic, so there can be a little bit more variation. So when it comes to measuring tubes, you can do it yourself, or we offer a couple options as well. But really, we used to require the sending of tubes, which was just a hassle on everyone's part. It takes time. It takes extra cost, but shipping and stuff like that. So this video is really targeted to help address that particular scenario. Now, with our standard product line, we offer a variety of sizes, both in the diameter as well as the quantity of tubes. Typically it's 15 and 32 count, but as you get to some of the larger sizes, the number of tubes goes down because the trays get physically bigger. But that's not to say that we can't do them in any size. So we have an example here of a 100 count tray. If you got the larger tubes, the 1.5, 2 ounce tubes, that kind of stuff, we can do trays for those as well. So it really gives a lot of flexibility in what we can make tubes or the trays for. Now back to kind of the measurements. So really, when we talk about the measurements, what is critical? Critical is you take the cap off, and this area here we call the neck of the tube is what we really need the measurements on to help identify the correct tray. So there's 3 different methods here. We can show you how to measure these tubes. So first one is we'll go over is our template. So this was designed to be able to, very user-friendly. It's got a bunch of different dimensions here that are easy to read, and then it's also got a way to measure the height of the neck. Because one of the things when we talk about putting the tubes in the tray is we don't want this shoulder to hit this tray before the tube comes up to the inner lip there. So that's really why we have that measurement on there as well. So when you use your template, it's pretty easy. You can take your tube and you can start small, and you just want to keep, we got lucky there the first time, but you want to keep trying dimensions until you get the one that just fits inside. So this one is a 18.5 millimeter, so that's the size tray. Now, typically our trays range between 0.5 and 1 millimeter, depending on the diameter, that it can fit these various tubes. The silicone is very flexible, so even if you have a tube that's slightly bigger than the range, it's not saying that it can't work. What we really try to do is find the optimum fit to where the tube slides in fairly easy, but also seals and does not leak around as you're doing the filling process. So those are 2 of the biggest things that we're trying to mitigate during this process. So, but overall, there is some flexibility in the dimensions of those trays. So that one's pretty straightforward. We offer these templates in 2 different size ranges that cover from 15 to 21 millimeter, and then from 21 to 27.5 millimeter. This covers a majority of the consumer tubes, but if you ever have a need, we can make those in a bigger size. So the next most common way, if you have them, and it's still very accurate, is a set of calipers. So same type of process. We'll just grab a bigger tube here. You're going to take the cap off. You're going to turn your calipers on. Make sure that they are zeroed out. Now, these are digital ones. There is the old dial calipers too. Just make sure you know how to use them so that we don't create confusion in the process. And then what you want to do is just take your tube and, using a light pressure, close it in, and then you look at your measurement and then just lightly spin the tube. And you're just looking to see kind of how much that varies. So these are 24.6, 24.7 range. So right around that 24.7 range. So now we can use that measurement to go identify our tray. Oh, and the one other thing I did forget to show on this is on the template is the height measurements. So what you want to do is you want to check. Now this one is greater than 10 millimeter, which for most of our trays is totally fine. The only time we really run into issues if you get down under that 10 millimeter range, if your tube bottomed out there, and I think these little 1/4 ounce ones are a good example here. You can kind of see how short the distance of this neck is. So it's more than 6, it's just under 8 millimeters. So these here specifically, we would ask that you share that measurement so that we can make the tray physically thinner so that it works properly. And we can do that, that's not a problem, so just we need to know that information. So calipers are also a great tool, and then same thing with measuring the neck. You can take your calipers the other edge here, and it's not a super critical measurement, but we need to know a relative range. So like these here, 15.7 millimeters, so that won't be a problem with any of our trays. And you can even use this end to also, you know, estimate that dimension. So, okay. Now, if we just want to keep it to the most simple measurement, you can still use a good old-fashioned ruler. So there's a few things that we try to help with this, and I'll use a bigger tube just to make the hopefully a little bit better visual, and I'll include some pictures of all these measurement methods in this video as well. But when you're measuring using a ruler, we want to make sure we go across the widest part of the tube or the center. So what you can do is just simply, you're going to put one edge at the 0 mark and we want to measure the outside diameter of this tube, much like we did with the caliper. So you want to set 0 just on the outside, do the best you can to eye up in the center, and you can even try to say, okay, what's the widest measurement? That'll help you identify the center. And for this one, it's just 34 millimeter range, it looks like. And then, you know, this one has a very tall neck, so that's not a problem, but, you know, same thing, you can use that to measure the neck measurements, and it's almost 34 millimeter there too. So that's kind of unique, but nonetheless though, and because of the flexibility of the silicone tray, that really allows us to enable you to use a tape or a ruler, measure your own tubes, and hopefully identify the correct tray. If you have any doubt, we always encourage you to take a picture of this measurement, and we can help just kind of confirm that yes, that is the correct measurement. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to get the you know, if you're trying to hold that and get the camera to focus, so, you know, ask a friend for help or something too, that's always helpful. And we're always willing to help answer and try to get you the best fitting tray possible. The other thing is, you know, when we talk about the custom trays, right? So again, we can do them in almost any size or dimension. One of the things we always encourage is when you get a very large tray, and because of the flexibility of them, sometimes if you get too many tubes in one tray, it can just be a little bit cumbersome when you're handling that many tubes at once, since it's not a fully rigid object. So sometimes if you want to fill 100 tubes at a time, we say it may even be better to have 2 50 count trays, just set them side by side and do your filling that way. And that also gives you some future flexibility if you want to say, hey, I want to do 50 of this flavor and 50 of this flavor, or batches or something. So gives you that little bit of flexibility there as well. And there's really no downside, you know, when, you know, you still get your 100 count batch size. So just a little easier to work with. And then, you know, similarly with any of these tube sizes, it really depends on how many trays you order. So most of the development and design time is making the molds to make these products. So if you just want one tray that's custom, that's going to be a lot higher cost than if you want, hey, I want 5 of these trays. So keep that in mind. So those are why pretty much all our custom trays are on-quoted, because, you know, depending on the size of the tray, the size of the mold, design time, any unique features and stuff, we have to kind of account for those costs in that product. So hopefully that answers some of your questions. Hopefully all those that use our products and like them and continue to do so. We have quite a few repeat customers. We are probably the largest silicone tray manufacturer here for these paper tubes in the world. We get quite a bit orders from all over the world. So we're very happy to support the industry in that way and continue to evolve the designs. You know, this is what we call our Gen 3 design, which is basically evolved from, you know, the original plastic trays, evolved a couple times. We now went over to the silicone. And we even have a few new things that we're working on here as far as things we can do different with the silicone to even help improve their functionality. So keep an eye out for those coming in the future here. We've hoped that, again, thank you for tuning in and enjoy our products. If you have any questions, we do everything we can to help answer any questions. And again, just trying to get you the right product to help make your manufacturing process so much easier. So if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.